What is up, my guardian angels? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is one that was inevitable. It was bound to happen. As soon as Tsuki went viral for her facial expressions, I can't tell you the number of times I got DMs and comments. Cheryl, talk about Tsuki. Cheryl, what is Tsuki stage presence archetype? Cheryl, what do you think about Tsuki stage presence overall? Oh my god, do you like Tsuki stage presence? Is she the best performer in Billlie? People kept bombarding me with these questions, and don't worry, I'm not upset at it, actually. It was just kind of cute that people felt like they needed to turn to me and get my opinion when it came to Tsuki. It's kind of nice. I like it. If you're new to this channel and you don't know why people would do that, amongst the controversial topics that I talk about, there's just one lighthearted topic that I am personally obsessed with, and that is stage presence. I talk about stage presence a lot. It's a big deal to me, and it's part of the reason why I stan certain groups, if we're gonna be honest, because sometimes the music really not be doing it for me. Anyway, the point is I developed a stage presence archetype simply because I just love stage presence that much. Yeah, I mean, that's how much I love stage presence, and that's how much I'm obsessed with it. So today's stage presence, we are going to be talking about Tsuki, but not just necessarily Tsuki herself. I feel like we really need to talk about the rest of Billlie, because Billlie has some amazing top tier fourth generation performers, and I think that they deserve just as much attention as Tsuki is getting. So that's what we are going to get into. We're going to be a little more objective when it comes to Tsuki's stage presence. I personally love her stage presence subjectively, I'm not gonna lie, but I think that it is important for us to be very objective about her stage presence, the longevity and the versatility of it, because a lot of the times when someone goes viral for something, it's kind of temporary. So I really wanted to talk about more of how long lasting her stage presence is going to be and how it pertains to the rest of Billlie. So first and foremost, I'm going to answer the most common question that I was asked, which is, what is Tsuki's stage presence archetype? Because people simply would not stop asking, and I understand why people were obsessed with getting this question answered. So if you are new to my channel, the way I work around K-pop stage presence, I decide what archetype a person is based on three things. Number one, which is their aura. Their aura could be masculine or feminine, and this has absolutely nothing to do with their gender. Please be reminded, gender has nothing to do with any of this. I saw somebody really get offended on Reddit because apparently they felt like I was saying that only male people or only masculine people are smart and assertive, etc., which this is exactly why nobody likes our generation. We make too much out of everything. I'm simply talking about aura, what aura an idol possesses. So it does not matter. You can be a masculine performer and be female, like me of Everglow. You can be a feminine performer and male, like Taemin of SHINee. It's really doesn't matter what gender you are. It really doesn't. It just has to do with the aura that the idol has. The second thing I look at is their energy type. Are they an overt or a covert performer? Overt performers are very much in your face. They're super active. Covert performers are a little bit more passive in energy, and to be honest, no one is better than the other. It just has to do with preference. Like, for example, my mom prefers covert performers over overt performers, and I honestly kind of like a little bit of both. I don't mind, but I think it depends on the next thing that I look at, which is the stage presence type. They could either be charismatic, which means that the energy of their facial expressions matches the energy of their body language. They could be dominant, which means the energy levels of their body language is stronger than that of their facial expressions. Or they could be sensual, which means both the body language and the facial expressions are a little bit more on the passive side. So honestly, it doesn't matter which is which. It's got to do with preference. For instance, when I was ranking sensual performers on my shorts channel, somebody actually mentioned how much they love sensual performers. So it's got to do with preference and what you like. I don't know if I have a preference, but my friend Danny kind of exposed me because he thinks that I like dominant sensual performers. Maybe that is true, I don't know, maybe there's a pattern there, but I've got to say it really depends on what you like and what you don't like. I really did more of an in-depth rundown on my very first stage presence ranking video. I will link that at the top right corner of your screen, and in the description box below I kind of go into detail about which is what, and I also give examples of K-pop idols out there. So if you want something more like that, you can go watch that video, which, by the way, I've got to say, that video and the next one where I ranked Blackpink, Red Velvet, Dreamcatcher, and Twice, they both now have over 100,000 views, which is insane. So thank you for all of the support on those videos. So make sure you check them out if you're interested. But now when it comes to Tsuki, Tsuki's aura is definitely one of feminine energy. I was actually surprised on my Discord server, somebody said that they thought she was both a masculine and feminine performer, which is, I don't know how they came to that conclusion, but once again, it has to do with her aura. She definitely has a feminine aura. Her feminine aura is less womanly and teen-like, which is usually what we get with most feminine performing idols. Female feminine performing idols, her is more of a girlish, cutesy thing. And to be honest, I think it's one of the reasons why she went viral instead of the other members of Billlie. I will get into that later. But having a girlish, kind of innocent, feminine vibe is something that a lot of people enjoy, and probably one of the biggest reasons why she became popular. Not just her facial expressions, but the aura surrounding them. Next is her energy type. She is most definitely an overt performer. She's very in your face, and her facial expressions are very loud, for lack of a better term, and she grabs attention very easily. Now, this may not be something that a lot of people like, because there are some people who have disclosed to me that they personally do not like Tsuki's stage presence. They don't think it's bad, but personally for them, it's not their preference because it comes off as too much. So some people can find her a little bit rambunctious when it comes to the fact that she changes facial expressions very quickly. It's another reason why a lot of people don't like Sun of ATEEZ, because he kind of performs in the same way, and it's kind of mentally exhausting for people to watch somebody like that. The next thing is her presence type, which is charismatic. A lot of the times people kind of thought that she has other archetypes. She doesn't. She's just a charismatic performer. I did not simply detect this from her stage presence in this comeback, Gingamingayo. I actually detected this from Ring X Ring. If you look in Ring X Ring, Tsuki was very boring to watch. And one of the reasons is that when an idol doesn't do much with their face and they are boring to watch, chances are they're a charismatic performer, because when they do more, they become more entertaining. We can't all be like Karina. Most dominant performers like Karina of aespa, for example, don't need to do much with their faces and they're still entertaining to watch. That's usually a sign that someone is not a charismatic performer. But if you look at her Ring X Ring performances, Tsuki was downright boring to watch. It was so not entertaining, and that's one of the reasons why I believe she's a charismatic performer, apart from the fact that her facial expressions are pretty intense. Now, the next important question that I would like to answer is that, is Tsuki disorienting the stage presence for Billlie? And a lot of the time, a lot of people felt like she was, because she's a little bit too much, but that really kind of feels like people who simply didn't watch the other members perform. I feel like personally they didn't do that. And ever since Tsuki went viral, she's kind of been like hogging the camera. Well, she's not really been hogging the camera. A lot of the times, even when it's not her parts, cameramen are zooming in on her. So a lot of people kind of feel like maybe she's disorienting the stage presence. So I don't think I ever truly explained that properly. So let me try to explain it again. When an idol disorients stage presence, they stand out so much so that everyone else fades into the background. And that usually happens when their energy type or their aura type is very separate from everybody else. So like I've said, I've used this example with Idol every single time. Idol has got a total of 5 members now, but even when there were 6 with Soojin in the group, the only masculine performer in that group was Soyeon. And Soyeon's stage presence was very different and disoriented from the rest of the group, because she was not only a masculine performer, she was overt and she was charismatic, which was very, very difficult for the rest of the members to kind of catch up, because everyone else was a feminine performer and like half the group was covert performers instead of overt, and the only 2 overt performers there were either a sensual performer or one was dominant charismatic. And unfortunately, this made it very difficult for them to match Soyeon's stage presence. That's why she disoriented the group. Another good example is Taemin of SHINee. He's a feminine performer, everyone else is a masculine performer, but the difference is that he is both dominant and sensual. Those are incredibly powerful, and none of the other members of SHINee actually possess a dominant or a sensual type, and unfortunately that really disorients their stage presence. With Tsuki, it's not the same thing, because Tsuki is an overt performer and she's got 3 other overt performers in her with the group. She's got Sean, she's got Munswa, and she's got Haram, and the rest of the group are coveted performers. So she's not exactly disorienting the energy within the group. She's not causing a disbalance in it. Another interesting thing is, if you look at their energy or stage presence auras, the group once again has got 4 feminine performers and 3 masculine performers, and Tsuki is a feminine performer. So to be honest, when it comes to energy, she's not really disorienting the group. So disorienting the group has nothing to do with who becomes the most popular in performing. It's the same thing with Everglow. When you look at Everglow stage presence and ask anyone who's your favorite Everglow performer, chances are they're going to say Mia. But Mia does not disorient the group, because while she is a masculine, overt, charismatic performer, she's got a feminine dominant performer like Asha to back her up, and then we've got Under, who's both a masculine and feminine performer. So it does not ruin the stage presence of the group. So I would like you to genuinely understand that Tsuki is not destroying Billie's stage presence. So yeah, we just needed to put that out of the way. Now, with that being said, let's have a conversation about just how good is Tsuki's stage presence, because a lot of the times people have been talking about how she has the best stage presence. Tsuki is setting the standard, while there are some people who are definitely in the minority and they've not been super vocal about this because they don't want to get hate, is that they believe that it is too early to be giving Tsuki a title like that. And especially after Tsuki has admitted that she actually practices these facial expressions and they don't come naturally to her, it's become very difficult for them to see her as the standard when it comes to K-pop. So what I have here, what I'm going to show you, is what I call the stage presence quadrant. And these are the 4 areas in which I decide how good of a performer someone is and if it is going to be long lasting or not. So the first quadrant is facial expressions. And obviously Tsuki has that down better than anybody else. She practices her facial expressions so well. They're super entertaining to watch and she's swapping them constantly. Another member who's really good at this is Sua and there is Haram, and we will get into those 2 later. The next thing that I look at is energy levels and consistency. And so far, Tsuki has been consistent, at least in this particular performance. She's been super consistent start to finish. Of course, her facial expressions are not going to be exactly the same, but the idea that she remains entertaining every single fan cam for this era shows how consistent she is. And in one particular performance, her energy from start to finish is always the same, if it is not getting better as the song goes by. So I definitely appreciate that about Tsuki. And then next we've got camera play, which once again you find Tsuki, Haram, and Sua in that same category. Haram and Sua do not let up, I swear. So when the camera is in her face, she knows how to really play with it, whether it is to be playful with her eyes or a little smile or a smirk or a tiny little pout. She is super good at this. She is friends with the camera. The camera loves her. And then finally, we have versatility. This, unfortunately, is the one category that she does not suit in. Now, first and foremost, most people with only one stage presence archetype are not versatile performers. And that's very frustrating for me sometimes, because I'm like, I would like to see you do, something else. When I watched them perform A Sign, which was the B-side to the GINGAMINGAYO album, to be honest with you, Tsuki was not as entertaining. And it's not because she was not good with facial expressions. She didn't have the right facial expressions to match the concept of the song A Sign Anonymous. Haram and Sua, on the other hand, were very good at that, and Sean is also amazing at that. Sean, we watched her on Girls Planet 999, okay? So we've seen her cover The Eve. She was extremely sensual on that. We saw her cover No Excuses by Meghan Trainor, and she was very charismatic in that performance. And then we saw her in You Plus Me. She did an amazing job on those. So her versatility is pretty wide considering the concepts that she covered when she was in Girls Planet. Now with Haram and Sua was an amazing performer right from Ring X Ring. If you watch any Ring X Ring performance, you know that she absolutely slayed that era. The most important thing for me, at least when it came to Haram, is that Haram, like Tsuki, she exactly was not the best performer in Ring X Ring, but when you watch her in other performances like Snowy Night, in A Sign, and most definitely in GINGAMINGAYO, she's been absolutely insane this entire era. And in my personal opinion, because Tsuki does not have versatility, longevity is going to be very difficult for her, because we don't really know what other concepts they are going to cover as time goes by. If they keep a consistent concept of this quirky concept they did with GINGAMINGAYO, she's going to do an amazing job and she's going to continue flourishing. But if they change concepts, if they go back to a concept like Ring X Ring, I can't imagine her doing facial expressions like this in that particular performance, if you get what I'm saying. So with terms of longevity and versatility, she doesn't have those. And the idea that people are saying that now she's officially the standard is not a good thing. It isn't. I understand why she went viral, and I'm all for her going viral. She deserved to. I remember when I first watched her performance, at that time, I believe it only had like 14,000 views or something. And I was like, damn, I wish more people could see this. And they did. And I was very happy about that. But I don't think that the amount of hype she's getting is going to be hype she will live up to. However, there's a secret weapon. Tsuki has mentioned that these facial expressions are not natural. She practices them. So who is to say that she's not going to be able to come with facial expressions that match for their future concepts? So once again, there is hope, but I do think that it's a little too soon to be screaming that she is the standard. At least that's just my opinion. So based off of that, do we say that she is the best performer in Billlie right now? For me personally, the answer would be no. The best performer in Billlie right now as we speak is actually Haram. Haram is insanely underrated and her stage presence is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that people are not paying enough attention to her, it's kind of annoying, but I'm also really happy that Tsuki is going viral either way because Billlie deserve all the attention they could get because this Gingamingayo album was insane and their stage presence is pretty good. Now I've got my stage presence triangle, which decides who's at the bottom tier going up. At the bottom tier, we have members who have basic stage presence. They're decent to watch, obviously, but their stage presence is not exactly exciting or enjoyable. And at the bottom, we have Haruna, Seyun, and Sion. While they're absolutely nice to watch, I believe that they still have a little bit ways to go when it comes to stage presence, and I genuinely think that they have to develop their archetypes in order to be entertaining to watch. In the middle tier, we have stage presence is really good and enjoyable and can capture attention easily, but retaining attention is the problem. And this is where Sean comes in. I believe with Sean, it's that once you see her perform, you're like, oh, she's really good. But the ability to retain that interest in her as time goes by is actually pretty difficult, and she doesn't do a really good job at that. But once again, you know, she's a rookie. Only time will tell. And then we have the middle upper tier stage presence. This is strong stage presence with the ability to retain attention once it's captured, and they have the appropriate use of facial expressions and body language. And Sua and Tsuki do an amazing job at that. Tsuki has been able to maintain a fan base of people who are genuinely simply interested in her stage presence. There are people who personally don't care for Billlie or even like the group, but are willing to watch Tsuki. So retaining stage presence is amazing. And another thing that I've noticed a lot of people talk about is Moonsua's stage presence. They're like, oh my god, once you watch Moonsua perform, you're pretty hooked, to be honest. It's difficult to kind of move on. And then in the upper tier, in my personal opinion, is definitely Haram. Haram has strong stage presence. She has the ability to retain stage presence once it is captured. She has an appropriate use of facial expressions and body language, which I love. But the best thing about her, and the reason why she is on top, is the fact that she can suit almost any concept and is very versatile when it comes to facial expressions. While Tsuki can interchange her facial expressions, most of them remain in the charismatic category. With Haram, she can move from a charismatic facial expression to a sensual one to a dominant one, and she can do that in a matter of 3 seconds, and that's amazing. And the best thing about it is that it doesn't come off as overwhelming or too much. So in my personal opinion, she's definitely a top tier performer, and she's easily now on my top 3 list of best 4th generation performers because she moved that quickly in simply one performance. And as far as I'm personally concerned, she is definitely amazing and deserves more attention. So in my personal opinion, I will say that Billlie is an amazing group and they're doing such a great job when it comes to stage presence, and I believe that they are only going to develop and get better. And the improvement of Tsuki and Haram between their performances from start to finish has been absolutely amazing, and I think that they are living proof that you don't have to be the best at stage presence, but you can definitely improve. So in my personal opinion, I definitely think people should stan Billlie, okay? Because their music is amazing and their stage presence is great. So that will be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope it filled in all your many curiosities about Tsuki and about Billie's stage presence as a whole, and I will see you guys soon. I love you. Bye-bye.